Dear camera gods, LA by body, down to sleep, please give me the following features in the Nikon Z7 III.
So, if ye old YouTube rumor mill is to be believed, the Nikon Z3 may be coming out this year. So this video is going to be a super quick wish list of features I hope that camera has. First, I hope it's in the Nikon Z6 III body, but with the A7R5 and Panasonic S1 II and S1R2 flippy tilty screen that flips up and flips out. I'm fine with that 5.76 million dot EVF. If they go higher res, that's good too. But otherwise, like button layout, grip, camera size, that Z6 III is pretty ideal for a camera like this. You figure a lot of like landscape photographers and outdoor photographers will use a high-res camera like this. And so they'll want something light that they can carry with them in their backpacks. And then in the studio, it can't hurt to have a camera that's light and easy to move around to model, and you can always put a battery grip on it. Second thing is that unlike the Z6 III, but like the Z8 and Z9 from Nikon, they've got to have a shutter or some kind of sensor protector that comes over the sensor to protect the sensor from dust. Again, this might be largely a landscape camera, and you want to be able to change lenses in the field without worrying about those little specks of dust and nastiness and outdoor grime getting on the sensor so easily. And then finally, I hope the sensor is high resolution, at least 61 megapixels, but I would take 80. And then also has 16-bit color depth, like the Fujifilm GFX 100 cameras and the Hasselblad XCD cameras, the 907 and X2D. I'm actually sort of surprised that some camera manufacturer, Sony, hasn't already made a 16-bit sensor for its higher resolution cameras. If you look up the specs, the GFX and Hassi sensor has a pixel pitch and pixel size of 3.76 microns. That's the exact same pixel size and pixel pitch of the Sony A7R5. So basically what Sony did with that sensor is they took the A7R5 sensor, made it a little bit bigger, whatever it is, the 1.21 times bigger, and sold it to Fujifilm and Hasselblad. It's the same kind of slow readout speed, same high resolution, same, low light performance, dynamic range, which are all plenty good because it's a backside illuminated sensor. So I don't understand how that sensor already isn't a 16-bit sensor. I don't know if it's processing or readout speed or what. You would think that the full-frame version would read out faster than the GFX and the Hassi, but maybe that's not fast enough for Sony's, purposes. But I think Nikon could definitely use it and program it to do 16-bit. You get all that color depth. For me, comparing the A7R5 and the Hasselblad and the Fuji, you have to zoom into 200 to 400% to see the difference between 61 and 100 megapixels. I think there's very few people that need that difference. And this is where the difference comes in for me, but you definitely see the difference in tonality, color gradients, just like the transitions and smoothness of the transitions between light and dark, between that 14-bit and 16-bit. There's just more information, so it's not as choppy and digital looking. It's just smoother and nicer and more pleasing to the eye. Once you've seen it, you kind of can't unsee it. It's hard to go back to 14-bit files, especially in photography. I'm still trying to figure out if that's true in video as well. Quick sidebar, the Fujifilm GFX camera really only films in 10-bit, right? You could output 16-bit, but if you're filming internally, besides the larger sensor size, wider angles, shallower depth of field at wider angles that you get from medium format just because of sensor size and the big image circle on the lenses, it should be that the image quality in video isn't much better than a full frame camera, right? Just because of the limitations of that slow sensor. But it is a very nice image coming off of Fujifilm. So I'm curious about that, Oh, and also then the Red is truly putting out 16-bit RAW, and you definitely see that as how good that video quality is. Gotta wonder, would the Fujifilm GFX video quality output at 16-bit RAW, which is too big of a file for me to really deal with my current technology setup, how does that compare? But anyways, in photography, which is what we're talking about here, because we're talking about the Z7 III, which is going to be largely a photography camera, I think that if you had a full frame camera with at least 61 megapixels or even 50 maybe, but it had 16-bit color, whoever makes that camera, whichever full frame manufacturer makes that camera, probably puts the medium format cameras out of business or makes them very, very niche cameras. I know personally, like the thing keeping me in the medium format cameras is not necessarily that medium format look, again, of the larger sensor, the bigger image circle on the lenses, giving you a shallower depth of field, that wider, focal lengths. You can get around most of that using the right full frame lens with a big aperture, right? Which sometimes will give you creamier, better background blur, but that particular GFX sensor does have a nice softness to it. But again, I think that might be the 16-bit color. So if a full frame camera came out with that 16-bit color, I would probably sell my medium format cameras. I would certainly test it and make sure that's true, but it just seems like that's the piece that's missing. And that's the piece that, in my mind, could make the Nikon Z7 III a real barn burner of a camera, a must get, and give Nikon a reason to create that in its lineup, right? The higher bit depth, better color camera in their lineup, right? You have the Z8, Z9 that are high resolution or high enough resolution at 40 something megapixels, but shoot, lightning fast. And then you have the Z7 III that like genuinely has a difference in image quality and photography, color depth, tonality, gradients, shadow and highlight transition, tones, then that makes sense. And it doesn't have to be as fast shooting as the Z8 and Z9. It doesn't have to be a sports camera, right? So a little bit of a ramble there on the whole 16-bit color thing, color depth, bit depth thing, but it's really only three things I want from the Nikon Z3. Z6 III body with that tilty flippy screen, maybe a better EVF, sensor protector, 16-bit color, maybe higher resolution. Is that asking too much? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.